Well, my name is Josh Devine. Again, it's Josh. The last name is spelled DE, capital V as in victory, INE. I'm a public information officer for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Here's the latest in this situation. We still have an active Amber Alert out there right now for Elizabeth Thomas, and we are very concerned about her well-being. We want her home as soon as possible. At this point, we've received only approximately 125 leads, and let me start off by saying there have been no credible sightings of these individuals since we've issued the Amber Alert on Monday. If 125 leads sounds like a low number, it is. It is the lowest number of leads for an Amber Alert that we've seen go this long. It is alarmingly low. And to that end, it leads us to one of two conclusions at this point. Either these two individuals, Elizabeth Thomas and Tad Cummins, are out of the view of the general public right now, or they are outside of the original net that we cast really across the southeast when we were first communicating this information to law enforcement. So we have issued a second nationwide BOLO so that every law enforcement agency in the country knows about this girl, knows about this man, and knows about the existing Amber Alert here in Tennessee and also in Alabama. It's absolutely important that everyone in this nation know about these individuals because, frankly, they could be anywhere right now. At this point, we're working to nail down some of the additional movements of these two individuals prior to their disappearance on Monday. Nothing that we have learned to this point has diminished our concern for this young girl's well-being. We remain committed to this investigation. As many of you have already confirmed today, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, will be offering some resources in this investigation. That is standard practice for every Amber Alert type situation. The TBI is using a lot of resources as well. We have resources from across the state involved in this, and again, we would urge the public's vigilance. Law enforcement cannot do this alone. We need the public to keep their eyes out, pay attention. If you spot these individuals or the vehicle with the license plate, call 911. If you know anything about these individuals or their whereabouts or information about what might have happened before their disappearance, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Any questions?
Have you guys been monitoring their social media, Snapchat, before, this started?
Sure. I don't really want to get into the specifics because obviously we don't want to let them know everything that we're doing. But suffice it to say, we're going to do anything and everything that we can to make sure that we have as full a picture. We don't just want to find them. That's the priority, but we also want to know how we got to this point.
Is human trafficking a concern at all?
We don't have information that that's a major concern in this particular instance.
What sort of troubling behavior, a pattern of troubling behavior,
Sure.
do you all think is happening, and what makes you think that he might have been grooming her?
And again, I can't really get into the specifics of that at this point. Again, there's still an open investigation that resulted in a criminal charge in Maury County. So I don't want to overstep the boundaries of what that investigation is. But suffice it to say, we amped up our language because we really need the public to realize that this young girl is in danger. Again, she's 15, he's 50. He's now facing a charge in which the district attorney has confirmed her to be the victim. And they're missing. They could be anywhere. We want her home. We want him in custody, period.
What kind of teacher is he, and was he her teacher?
We don't know. You'd need to talk to the school district about that. I don't know the subjects that he taught, and I don't know whether she was in one of his classes or not.
Does either have like a history out of state, that you're pursuing?
So we're looking at any and all connections that might exist, but I don't have any specific information to that end at this point.
Their last known location in Decatur, Alabama.
Sure.
Is that from a cell phone ping, or was that from a sighting?
Let me be really clear about that, and I appreciate you asking. So there have been some reports that they were seen in Alabama. That is not entirely accurate. The information that we were able to develop is that Thomas may have been in that location in Decatur, Alabama on Monday afternoon. We developed that information through investigative channels, but again, I don't want to get into the specifics because we might still be using some of that in an effort to try to locate these individuals right now.
Monday afternoon until Thursday is a big amount of time.
It is.
What kind of challenge does that present for the investigation?
Sure. I mean, the case has grown fairly cold. As I indicated, there's an alarmingly low number of leads. It is absolutely troubling. I'm fortunate enough to work with people who've been doing this type of work for years, years and years. And to be at this type of a stage in this type of situation where we have a missing 15-year-old with a 50-year-old who now faces a charge like he does, it's absolutely troubling. We want her home. And as I indicated, they could be anywhere at this point, which is why we need everyone to be on the lookout.
Do you anticipate other Amber Alerts in other states to be issued or not until
Sure.
there's a critical sighting?
And this is an important distinction. There's oftentimes questions several days in, well, why no national Amber Alert? And that's because there's no such thing as a national Amber Alert. Every state has a clearinghouse for missing children. The TBI is Tennessee's clearinghouse. ALEA, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, is Alabama's clearinghouse. And every state has their own requirements for issuing an Amber Alert. Here in Tennessee, we won't issue it unless, if it's an out-of-state request, we won't issue it unless there's credible information that the child is actually in that state. We have these rules because we want them to mean something. If we issued an Amber Alert every time a child went missing, we would issue several hundred of them a month, and then they would mean nothing to people. So that's why there are these restrictions and these rules in place.
Are you able to tell us anything about how her family is coping with this right now?
We have been in contact with her family, but beyond that, I prefer to not go into the details.
And does this suspect have any criminal history that you know of, or any allegations against him involving sort of similar behavior?
No criminal history here in the state of Tennessee in terms of an adult arrest history. Beyond that, I know of no other sort of similar allegations involving him.
Can you talk about what that troubling behavior is at all?
I wish I could, but at this point, again, we're still working to develop some of that information for potential prosecution and additional information that we're hoping leads us to these individuals in the future. But at this point, I'm not able to disclose any of that.
The FBI, what will they offer? I didn't
Sure.
realize that this was standard for every
It is.
Amber Alert. And so what do they offer, and how is this case different for them when it comes to their involvement?
Well, they would need to address that question in terms of their specific role in this investigation. But again, they offer additional resources, additional manpower, folks who can conduct interviews, folks who have